Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
John, you're making some real fun noise effects already, right off the bat.
Right.
I feel like I'm getting like some real like ADR shit.
Up.
Like immediately.
That is ADR for a living. People,
Smash a watermelon.
We're the Love of Cinema podcast. Anytime we wait, hold on. There's a gimmick in our show, which is that we have to try to keep it positive. So we love talking about movies. John, come on. We have to try to keep it positive, though. That's our goal on this show, to have some fun talking about movies. Anytime we say anything negative at all about each other, life, Florida, you're going to hear this sound.
It's going to happen a lot.
And that means we'd have to take a drink. And we actually hope that you at home drink along with us.
So pour yourself a glass and stand by to get the most fucking earwormed you've ever got by a theme song.
Here's our pre-show shot, people. Pre-show shot. So it's funny. The pre-show shot is for Jesus, John.
That one hit John.
So we try to do the pre-show shot to get us drinking at the beginning of the episode, because this is a little bit of a drinking game. But we usually only do one episode a day nowadays, so that we want to get a little loose right off the bat. But we already recorded an episode today.
So this is gonna get real.
This is going to get very real. We were just recording an episode in our new series called What Did They Make Before This Movie? Dave, what is it called?
Yeah, that's the wordy version. Jesus, Jeff. What else have they done?
Our director series.
Or Jeff's version, what the fuck have you done?
That's right. Our director series on... anyway, it's Bong Joon-ho's movie from 2003. It's fucking awesome. It's called...
Wait, don't help him. Don't help him. What's it called? What do you think it's called?
I want to say meanings of a murder, but it's...
only murders in this rice paddy.
Only murders in the... Making a Murder. No, it's called Memories of Murder. Memories of Murder.
Boom!
It's on Hulu right now.
Third time's a charm, dude.
I hope none of my child voice students are listening to this podcast right now. People, we are talking today as part of our Should Have Seen It By Now our series, The Great Escape. We're talking about The Great Escape. 1963, John Sturges, Steve McQueen. You know it. You've heard about it. You watched 30 Rock. Thank you, John, for sharing that clip to us recently. Great Escape. We're going to be talking about it.
This was actually a requested one by Lloyd, who requested this. He actually put it in the Should Have Seen It By Now. It was miscategorized. He literally just wanted us to watch the damn film. But as it turns out, Jeff, you hadn't seen it, and
correct.
I have never seen the end of it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I realized I'd only seen 3/4 of this damn film, because when I first saw it, I was really young, and I just wandered off because I didn't get it. And this time I stuck with it. So we'll see what happens.
Nice.
For baby Dave.
Yeah,
wandering off.
Baby Dave gets a beer.
Wandering off into the outback of Australia.
Went on his little walkabout. He wandered off and went.
Anytime,
It's just going to happen. It's going to keep happening.
who's just looking for spiders the size of pineapples.
Yeah,
people,
sit your fucking knifey spoony ass down.
if you're new to this podcast, welcome so much. Please, I know everybody says this and it's annoying, but like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Dave set up a link tree. We're very easy to contact. For new movies, we try to keep it spoiler free. For old movies, we kind of try, but we fail very miserably. But we try to keep it spoiler free for the beginning, just so you can know what our initial takeaways are, what we thought, what we felt about the movie, as opposed to us trying to explain why something worked or didn't, to actually give you our visceral experience as best as we can, with a little bit of alcohol to help, soothe the palate. We have a couple sponsors.
John's answering his emails right now.
John, they can hear that. They can hear it. We can't. Dave is our engineer as well. He's come on.
All right.
Johnson Film School, but Dave is very
horns, motherfucker.
Dave's very professional, and his he can do a lot, but he can't get those types out of this fucking.
Well,
John,
I could. I'm just not gonna.
I'm researching.
Oh, wait too much
I want to
time.
make sure I know what I'm.
What our sponsor? You want to look up our sponsors?
Carlos Barroso.
No, whoa!
is
Don't spike
our
the
beer
mic,
sponsor. All right. See Barroso.beer, CBARROZO.beer at Instagram. You can follow him, all the fun beer news and antics. Check him out. Carlos, give us some more beer. Send some to Los Angeles, please. And Dasein is our music artist in residence.
Isn't that trafficking?
Dasein.
Dave, you can't make it. You can't make it.
Yeah,
You
sure.
can't make a trafficking joke right now. This is not the time.
Come
Are you
on.
kidding? I took down a
Dasein,
human
you know the
trafficker
guy.
in
He
Canada.
makes music.
Dasein. Okay, cool.
What happened with Canada and trafficking?
Not Canada.
I had a guy in my hotel room, like next to me when I was up there in the snowfields.
Wait, hold on. You had a guy in your hotel room?
Okay, well, one, but I was young and I needed the work. But apart from that, I was staying up in Canada
It's fine
in the
if that's
snowfields.
your story. I just
John
know that's
asked.
not Dave's story. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
So I was staying up in the Canada snowfields. This was when I went up to Canada briefly when I was living with you guys. And the guy, the guy in the room next to me, like I had the place to myself for a while. It was just me and the snow. It was kind of like
I
The
remember
Shining.
that. Thanks for still paying rent, by the way. It was great.
Yeah. And this guy moved into the apartment next to me and immediately started having this enormous fucking fight with the woman that he'd like gone in there with. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I called security. Nothing happened. The fight went on. Like the security came down and they're like, no, we're just watching the TV. Nothing's happened. And then they just kept going. So I called him again.
We're watching the TV as in there's cameras in the rooms.
They're watching the TV, and the fight was on the TV. Apparently, that's what that was the excuse they gave. And so in the end, I'm like, I called security. I'm like, dude, you need to get down here. Like, they're having the mother of all domestics in the room next to me. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't think it's safe for her. And so they came down, and the guy who came down, I don't know who came down, but it was just like killer security guard walked in, just went, knock, knock, knock. Oh, heard you having some trouble in there, eh? And walked through the door. He just walked in their apartment. I'm like, yes, finally. Next thing I know, 4 cops have turned up and they're asking this guy for ID. And he's given them some ID and they went out and they ran it and they came back. All right. They came back and they went, okay, this is not you. Have you got an ID that's you?
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
Dave.
oh shit. Like I'm glued to the fucking peephole watching this through the peephole.
The peephole?
And yeah, they get a little door thing. Yeah. And anyway, basically it came to the point where the cops got jack of it. They're like, you know what, we're going to take you to the station. You're under arrest. We're going to take you to the station. We'll fingerprint you. We'll ID you that way. And they put him in the car and they took him.
Dave, Australian-American Canadian
like,
hero.
Well, the funny thing, I went up to the rec center the next morning and I'd made friends with the woman who ran like the reception part. And I'm like, oh, I guess you heard about the night I had last night. And she's like, oh, sweetie, everybody heard about the night you had last night. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, that guy, they've been looking for him for 2 years for human trafficking.
You know, you did tell us this
And
story.
I took the motherfucker down in the snowfields of Canada.
You know what, Dave? for bringing
this is
that
as
human
much of a
trafficker to
tribute as we could
criminal
possibly
justice.
have. Dave, I remember
Dude,
you
that's
telling us this story.
fucking crazy.
I'm so sorry for forgetting it. It seemed more elaborate right now and full of vigor. But oh my
Canada,
God.
dude, that's your short film, dude. That's your next short film right there. That's fucking good.
Dave, you could definitely do that low budget. Get a shitty hotel and be like, can I just film here for
It's the
24
rear
hours?
window. It's rear window with no window and just
with no
people
other
and
apartments.
ear
Yeah,
to the wall.
it's just someone shouting next door. I mean,
That's
it was a
actually
little
really good
longer.
idea.
It was a little longer than that.
Mm,
It went over like a day and a half, but like, because I got real vindictive the next morning when like after the shouting stopped. Finally, I got up at like 7 a.m. and started banging pots and shit. But yeah, in the end, the guy got arrested and taken away, and
Yeah, I love this hotel that just has pots that you can bang ready to go.
Yeah, it had a full kitchenette, dude. It's a great place.
Full kitchenette. I love a full kitchenette.
Did you stay
That's
at
great.
the El Royale? I feel like
It was
you
not
said
the El Royale. It
Yeah.
felt like it, but it wasn't.
Guys, speaking of human trafficking, that's sort of what prisoner transfer is in World War II, if I might segue back to The Great Escape. Thank you, Dave, for your story. But before we really dive into this fantastic film that I really hope you're all ready to get into, we do our gripes of the week here so we can just get the shit out that we want to talk about at the beginning of the episode.
I'm glad I escaped the timer for my story.
Yeah, no, that was deserving of a no-timer story. So Dave doesn't have any gripes. John, do you have a gripe?
I'm really excited to hear your gripe.
Okay.
that's all I've got.
So I do have a gripe. So we're
I
going to
will
set
start
the timer
now.
This is our gripe of the week. Guys, stop with the one name movie titles. No more one word movie titles. I'm really sick of it. We got off. No, stop. No. I'm going. We got off to a really good start. We had Rashomon. We had Godzilla. We had Jaws. We had Patton, Halloween, Dracula, Serpico, Cinderella, Pinocchio, Scarface. Really good one-word movie titles. Somewhere along the way, it went fucking crazy. Now, this is a problem now because right now we have Amsterdam coming out. Amsterdam. Now, when I think of Amsterdam, I think of weed biscuits and bike riding. But no. Now it's about this David O. Russell movie. Sorry, there's a crime there once in his movie, so it's called Amsterdam. You also have Babylon, Damien Chazelle's Ode to Golden Age Hollywood. Oh, wait, I thought he already had an ode to Golden Age Hollywood. I guess maybe Babylon. Oh, all right, whatever. Babylon's the fucking movie you want.
He's not finished.
No. Pearl, the follow-up to X, fine. Okay, but let's take a look at some movies that we did recently. We did Breaking, a movie about a bank robbery. Does that have anything to do with Breaking? No. Barbarian. I loved Barbarian. We loved Barbarian. Little problem, though. Who's the Barbarian? I guess the main character is the Barbarian. But if you did a test screening of Barbarian with 100 people with no title, and you said, what's the name of this title? I'll give you 3 guesses each. And 300 guesses, nobody would have guessed that the title of the movie was Barbarian. Vengeance. They just want to have these like flashy titles. You have
even though the house was on Barbary Street.
Stop. No, yeah, but they did that because that's what the title of the movie was. You have Nope, which is sort of a follow-up to Up, which is sort of the follow-up to Get Out, which was also the follow-up to the first movie that... Hey, stop.
What's a follow-up to Up if the fucking balloons eat people?
Shut up. And then Jordan Peele also co-wrote Keanu. So he's written 4 movies with 5 words. So he just loves the one-word movie title, right? So you have... I know this comes in a long legacy of one-name movie titles like, I don't know, just thinking off the top of my head, Annie, Abduction, Annabelle, Admission, Adventureland, Airborne, Airheads, Aladdin, Aloha, Amadeus, Annie, Arthur, Arthur again, another Aladdin movie, another Annie, Annie Live, Avatar, Babe. Oh, I'm on B now. I only have 25 letters to go. And in 2022 alone, just in 2022 alone, you have Prey, which is the prequel to Predator. That's great. That works out really well. Predator. What is the prequel to Predator? Prey. Chicken or the egg. I love it. What about Fresh? What about Happening? What about Lightyear? What about Playground? Navalny, Bell, Benediction, Hustle, Cow, Emergency, Hellbender, Cyrano sort of came out this year. Hatching, Elvis, Kimmy, Vortex, Watcher, Bull, Pleasure. These all came out this year. There was a Scream sequel this year, and instead of being Scream 6, they just called it Scream again because one word apparently works better. Stop with the one-word movie titles. If you want a one-word movie title, you have to submit it to at the Love of Cinema Pod, and we'll tell you if you can get a one-word movie podcast because it seems like everybody's just trying to fuck with us.
All right, I got 2 one-word movies. I drink and fuck.
60 characters or less, right? Like it's exactly what's happening to all the fucking writing, dude. Like people are scared of anything that has too many words.
I started coming up with a list. This rant started with Lincoln, where it's like, Lincoln, this is the defining movie about Lincoln. And it's really like 6 months of Lincoln's life. Now, I know like passing that bill and ending the Civil War is like a really meaningful part of Lincoln's life, but it's not all of Lincoln's life. And then Amsterdam, like, when I think of Amsterdam, I don't want to think of one movie. I want to think about the city where, they have a red light district in Anne Frank's house. I don't want to just think about this movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
all I keep hearing when I hear that movie title is Daniel Day-Lewis is Bill the Butcher saying Amsterdam. That's the only. I'm still just thinking of another movie.
It's not even that movie. And you know what else too, which did not age well, is Brazil, which probably started like the naming of cities and countries and like, oh, the whole movie can just be called this. Brazil. Do you know? Okay, Brazil stars Jonathan Pryce, Robert De Niro, is made by Terry Gilliam. You know what's not in it? Anybody Brazilian. And so I know that they go to Brazil, but it's kind of fucked up that it's basically like, all these white people went to Brazil once, so let's name the movie after Brazil. You know what I mean? It's just like, anyway, I digress. Ted, Pearl, Annabelle, Lincoln, Amadeus, Morgan, Barbara, Fletch, Bullet, Jack, Rudy, Radio, Marty, Rebecca, Spartacus, Nell, Ollie. I'm just sick of it. I'm just totally sick of it.
I'm going to keep it in mind.
Oh my God. You read it for so long I almost need to pee again.
The conversation, the omen, the birds, the crow. Just add a the and everything's great. Okay, what do you guys want to talk about today?
Midsommar.
Midsommar's a great name. See, that's what all these other movies are. They bum out Midsommar because Midsummer would be like, is it Midsummer's Night's Dream? But Midsommar is specific.
If he's going to keep going, I'm going to pee.
Is he actually going to pee? Okay. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So there's the places one. There's the names. The names are tricky. I understand. Annabelle's a great name for a movie. I get it. Pearl is a great name for a movie. John, do you have any thoughts about this?
Dude. Look, I'm victim of this too. I definitely have made 2 things with one-word titles. There is something.
Yeah, but Tim Shell specific. Nobody's made a Tim Shell movie before.
But then every now and then you see those titles where you're just like, The Other Side of the Wind. the wind that shakes the barley, and you're just like, I don't have the balls to like write a sentence like that for my.
You need the balls. You can't just say vengeance, because when I think of vengeance, I don't think of somebody making a podcast from New York going to Texas. Like it's not a bad title. It's just in the grand scheme of things.
I don't think we can say this enough with enough seriousness. I know we're ranting, we're joking. We live in a world now where you need a thumbnail image and a title that is viewable in that thumbnail to sell your entire movie to somebody who's fucking lazily sitting on the couch that's a little drunk, a little high, a little distracted by anything.
And you need something that's going to stick with them.
It does make sense that they're, boom, like they want it to pop.
Nope makes total sense. Now, it's sort of about them saying no to this alien kind of thing, and obviously there's aliens. It's an allegory, let alone, but like it's clearly evocative on purpose. I actually think that's like satire on the one-word movie title. I actually think Jordan Peele nailed it, where he's like,
God, that was my protest urination, and you're still going.
Yeah, do you need to go again, Dave? Anything else?
We should have just waited. We should have just waited in dead air for him to get back.
It would have made it easier to cut.
Guys,
that's a good movie title. Dead Air.
Dead Air. See, that's two. Yes, that's what it's specific. Dead is a bad movie title. Air is a bad movie title. Dead Air.
We did it.
Oh my God. It's just so brilliant.
You have no sense of aim.
I have no sense of aim. That's what she said. Okay, I got to move on. I can't. If any of my students are listening to this, I'm so screwed. They're listening to my Great Escape episode. Okay, people, we're talking about The Great Escape. This is directed by John Sturges, who directed The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, we're talking about Great Escape. Finally, 16 minutes into the episode.
That's right. The Great Escape. He directed The Magnificent Seven. Bad Day at Black Rock came up next. He also directed The Old Man and the Sea. John Sturges, people. Steve McQueen. Not a single one-word title amongst them. You're right.
No.
Now, I will say, Steve McQueen, Bullet. But that Bullet's tricky. It's spelled differently.
Yeah.
It's very clever. It was ahead of the time. I'm going to give that a pass.
And it's 45 minutes long if you take out the car chases.
We listened to Bullet and we reviewed it on our podcast. Please go back through our feed on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. This stars Steve McQueen. It stars Richard Attenborough. Yeah, Oscar winner for Gandhi. That's right. Who also was in Jurassic Park, who goes, damn! One of the best line readings of all time, as well as Welcome to Jurassic Park, of course. Charles Bronson, of course, with a different accent. He always has like a kind of accent in every movie.
He does.
James,
it's weird.
Yeah.
Every accent's a little different, right?
I feel like he wouldn't get away with that today.
Well, I don't know. James Coburn and, guys, James Garner, who audiences may best know as the old guy in The Notebook. That's right.
Yeah.
James Garner was a dashing young man who definitely made his way around town, if you know what I mean, when he was a young striking lad. And this is based on a true story.
Looking up his little black book right now.
Based on a true story. Yeah, type away, John. Anytime you look anything up, just so you know, the audience knows. It's based on the book by Paul Brickhill, screenplay by James Clavell and W.R. Burnett. It's a fantastic movie that was referenced by the character Jack Donaghy in 30 Rock.
It's been referenced.
I said it the Irish way. I said it the Irish way.
Yeah.
It's about people trying to escape a prisoner of war camp in World War II.
The inescapable prisoner of war camp.
The escape proof. Okay, so Dave's seen this movie a lot. So this is part of our Should Have Seen That By Now series. So let's see if anybody in here has not seen it by now that we know that Lloyd. Who's Lloyd?
Lloyd is actually from Australia. He moved to Europe. I'm actually going out for drinks. Lloyd's in New York this
Lloyd.
week. So, we're going out for a couple of brews.
Dave's getting pissed with Lloyd?
Going out for a couple of bruisies.
Thanks for suggesting this movie, mate. One of us is doing a fake accent. It's me.
Yeah, right. Well, let's go around the horn here. Now, let's just say, just really quickly, to anybody listening, definitely no women in this movie. Pretty white.
Not at all.
This is based on a true story. I don't know why we love the World War II, like the U.S. versus the Nazis and stuff. That's just like every movie's about Nazi movies. Did I do my rant on the Nazi movies yet?
Why don't we like it? Are you kidding me? Of course they fucking like it.
Good versus evil, America wins. Like, what's not to love?
Come on, dude. It was. Are you kidding me? Yeah, it was right there.
Although in real life, no Americans actually. Well, it doesn't matter. It's mostly
the Americans did. Yeah, the Americans did not win.
All right, so Dave, you've seen this movie. John, have you seen this movie before?
I have seen this movie before.
I had never seen this movie before. So Lloyd,
what'd you think? I think.
And
why had you not seen it before?
I think I've already talked enough this episode, but we always do.
Why haven't you seen it before?
Mostly because it's 3 hours long and it's really old. But it's
Can't argue with logic like that.
It's not just like, it wasn't just like
somewhere between a 1-word movie title and 3 hours is Jeff's sweet spot. Somewhere there's somewhere in between those that is just like that's the ticket.
I'm buzzing myself because you're right.
Is it thirsty?
You're right. I need 2 words to less than 3 hours. I don't know. This wasn't one of those on TV all the time movies growing up for me. Or if it was, I was passing over it. But I also, when I was growing up, I was always watching the movies with commercials, like Shawshank Redemption. If this was on, this is probably on HBO. It's probably on.
Dude, if you put commercials in this, it's 4.5 hours long.
You're right.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
4.5. Can you imagine? 4.5. I mean, yeah, it's forever for sure. But it's so good. It's so good. And I actually was bummed when I started the movie and it was 2 hours and 52 minutes because I kind of started it at night and I sort of planned my night around it. And then I realized I was going to be up late. And guys, it was really great. And they did one of my favorite things of all time, which is you introduce your second most important character deeper into the film than you might expect. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite movie devices of all time. If you look at sitcoms, Andy in The Office coming in late. If you look at like those kinds of things that happens in sitcoms all the time, I think that works really well in TV. In films, I love it as well. It all goes back to the Iceman cometh. They talk about, Dickie or whatever his name is, and if it's not Dickie, who gives a shit? But he comes in like an hour into the play. It's a 5-hour play, but it's like I think it's such a great device.
We went to go see that, and we both fell asleep.
It was we took turns. It was great. I mean, we still each saw 4.5 hours of great theater.
It's because we got drunk. It's because we were drunk before.
Guys,
we both fell asleep.
Guys, we left at 5. Sure, we left at 5 p.m. from our apartment in Astoria, and we got back at 1 a.m. and we didn't even hang with our friend afterwards. And it was so funny because we saw Tara afterwards and she was like, nobody wants to hang out afterwards because they want to go home. And I get it. And I'm like, yeah, let's ride the train home because we got
it's like wanting to hang out with the cast of Harry Potter like after the play.
I actually remember being bummed because it started at 7 p.m. and it ended at 11:57. And I was like, give me 3 more minutes so it can just end at midnight.
Yeah.
Like give me I want a full 5 hours.
Pat it out, people.
This is a Bam, Nathan Lane, Brian Dennehy, John, Dave.
Much happens.
Well, that's the point. The Iceman doesn't come.
I know.
Anyway.
Oh no, it's like the title of this movie. I woke
up and said, "Is he still gone?" All right, The Great Escape.
Dave, what did you, Dave? You rewatched this movie for us. Thank you so much. I don't know who recommended a 3-hour movie for us to rewatch.
It was Lloyd. Don't worry.
You didn't have to tell us that Lloyd recommended this 3 hour movie.
And I realized that I'd seen 3/4 of this. I've never seen the ending because it's 3 fucking hours long, and I didn't have the attention span when I was younger. So
plays right into our narrative.
Yeah, this was the first time I'd sat there. What a damn cast for starters.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting there and I was watching it today and I was like, wow, modern audiences just don't have patience for an overture. Like it starts with the earworm fucking theme song. Because like I also like when I first started working in Queensland, I was working at the Warner Brothers theme park. And this song, the theme song from this movie, was one of the tracks that was on their like ambient music, and I heard it, I want to say 15 times a day. So I get a little PTSD when I fucking hear this track every time. But like it kicks in, and it's just these wide open fucking Panavision scenes of Poland, because that's where it's shot, but and like the tanks driving.
Dave talks, John, and I just make noises in the background. Yeah, right. Sorry, Dave. Back to
you. I was like, wow, yeah, I feel like everyone who puts this on now is going to look for the skip intro button, and just don't, because it ain't fucking coming. You got to sit through that overture. But in saying that, I forgot how funny the first half of this film is.
Fucking hilarious, yeah.
Fucking hilarious. They're cheeky bastards.
Can I read a joke?
Amazing.
When I thought this was a comedy,
that's the perfect word for it too.
Yeah.
When I thought this was a comedy, can I tell you a joke I wrote? And I'm going to tell you right now, this joke did not age well throughout the movie.
In the 3 hours, yes.
So this is early on in this movie. I wrote this joke, and I'll remind you that it did not age well in the movie. Okay, you ready? Good thing Eamon Goth isn't running this camp.
What?
Working on your set, working on your 5 minutes.
Yeah.
During this movie, Jeff. Working on the open mic set.
Wow.
Do you get it though?
I feel like you guys when I make a joke.
So Eamon Goth is from Schindler's List, right?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
these guys are escaping. These guys are escaping and playing baseball. Like Ray Fiennes would have never let that go. But they were Jews. They were American prisoners of war. So it just caught me off guard because I was like, I guess this is a comedy. And then obviously I know how it ends.
Yeah, I mean, it is a comedy up to a point. Again, this is one that has a turn. I would love to watch it again. I challenge everyone who has seen this to watch it again. Drink every time a Nazi gets punched. Celebrate that shit.
It's weird, right? Like
yeah.
John, what are you looking up?
I'm looking up the prescript text at the beginning of this movie. It basically says
it's based on a true story, but
it's based on a true story.
Composites.
The characters in the time.
Yeah.
The characters based on composites, and the time has been compressed. But this is how it actually happened.
Yes.
It's like the Fargo. It's like the Fargo opening, right?
I mean, I would straight up. I'd say I'm not usually a fan of war dramas. It's not my thing. I don't like it. 1917 being an obvious exception because, I mean, you remember our first episode. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen.
Dave really likes Roger Deakins, who was the cinematographer on 1917.
He definitely contributed to that film. As he does.
G'day, Roger.
Yeah.
You fucking
Jesus Christ, John.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fucking word out with you.
Dave, I'm so sorry on behalf of John.
I remember feeling the same way.
No, stop. Dave was in the middle of a thought. You can't just cut him off like that to have this. Dave, what were you saying?
I mean, the funniest thing is I started watching this and I got about, I want to say 25 minutes in, and I was made to pause it because my wife and mother-in-law were like, we want to watch this with you.
Ooh.
Because they were enjoying it so much. And like, obviously my mother-in-law's a big fan of this film. And yeah, everybody, we all sat down and like there was dinner and stuff that happened in between, but yeah, we all sat down and watched this together. And it is kind of the perfect family film because there's like very little violence. There's very little, like it's a little bit sinister, but like the violence is 60s violence. So it's like a gunshot goes off and the guy goes, and falls and rolls and half dies and takes.
I love
like
that
3
acting.
minutes.
I love it so much. Yeah.
So yeah, there's not much violence. There's almost like I don't think there's any profanity in it at all. So this is a film
that's
that
not
you can,
period.
yeah.
No way. That would have been more perverse than showing somebody get murdered by the Nazis.
But yeah, we all sat down and watched together tonight. So that was my rewatch experience. Tonight. Yeah, I had to wait.
Wait, tonight? Hold on. It's midnight now. Thanks. That's no thanks to me.
Yeah.
No thanks to me. Dave has a dentist appointment in 9 hours. Wait, tonight? Like you started this?
What was your rant about?
You started this at 5 p.m.
4 p.m. I think it was, and then I was made to pause it till 5 p.m. and then we watched the rest of it. Yeah.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And you liked your rewatch. You like the ending now that you've seen it.
I mean, the ending's a half downer, half not. Like it kind of brings itself back. Like this is one of those ones where it's like, oh, this did not go as well as they anticipated, and like it so it brings like it's this whole. It builds you up to like, and you're like, yeah, this is great. They're doing it. It's great, and then you see the consequences of their actions, and it's not good. But then it brings it back with like his re-entry into the camp at the end. And it just, it's an all like it's dark, but it's not dark. It's a very fine line to tread, and I feel like they trod it well.
I love it. Nice, Dave.
So I think that is the most unique thing about this movie.
Yeah,
for sure. Jeff and I studied under this acting teacher for a lot longer than he did in New York. But something she used to always talk about is. When you're kind of beginning your analysis of a script or whatever, is what genre is it? I am a director and a writer.
Oh, yeah,
and fuck directors and writers who think that if you can't sense the tone, then you're wrong. That's not how that's not how people who are interpreting text look at things. There are different ways to play things. This movie could have been a sincere, grounded drama, and it would have been an entirely different film and probably would not have been as accessible. It's almost like starting with the theme music, which you hear very first, dun 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 dun
Ah,
dun 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 dun. It's in your head now. So go with me here. Tell me if you don't agree with this. This is what I hear every time I see this movie. This is what I think about. It literally, thematically, tonally, and Elmer Bernstein with the music made it literal. It's like the song, "The spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down."
Yeah.
This intense, dramatic material.
That mixed with Indiana Jones.
It's spoonful, but to a much beat. Yeah.
But to a march, but like they're dealing with really intense subject matter.
Yes.
Really intense. Jeff, I totally agree with you that like the first time you watch it, you're kind of like, is this really how they got treated in prisoner of war camps? Like there's so much gentlemanship. There's so many manners, and there are so many rules of war and
Remember when they used to have rules?
I guess so. I don't even know if it's real. So you kind of have to get past that.
It's a half buzz.
There's like that they're literally allowed to convene together as gentlemen
are they allowed?
And have like meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's realistic. So just
also,
push that to the side.
For starters, who gets every escape specialist they've captured and gives them all access to each other's skills? Like, if that guy that like was fired from it at the end didn't get shot, I'd be very surprised.
They said they
because he put literally everyone who's a professional at escaping from camps in this camp.
Again, if the Spielberg Hanks team had directed and produced this movie, it would have been a dark. When Steve McQueen goes to get the baseball, there would have been blood everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, just fucking McQueen brains all over the place. And honestly, I think I like this movie a lot. But every time I watch it, I wonder, were vets of World War II who were in their 40s and 50s, right in the sweet spot, the prime of their life, totally grounded, hopefully, if they're not dealing with too much trauma, in their new life, and then watching a movie about what they possibly went through, 15, 10, 20 years ago, I wonder sometimes if they felt like this movie takes some of the seriousness away from it in a negative way. If the answer is no, because I wasn't there, then I'm totally prepared to have a good time with this because it's a very entertaining film.
When you're in that situation, I mean, we deal with like things of intense stress. I mean, not concentration camp, fucking intense stress, but like the levity and the cheekiness and the camaraderie and that sort of thing. That's what gets you through, and they focused on that. I feel
so. My favorite storyline that deals with that is Scotsman, the dude who's in the cooler with McQueen.
Yeah,
Without him slowly driving himself nuts to get wire crazy and try to jump for the wire to commit suicide, this movie would not work at all for me without that. It is the thing that holds it all together for me. These people are supposed to have been from prisoner camp to prison camp to prison camp to prison camp. Some of them have been in camps for most of the war, 3-4 years. Yeah. And I mean, so I needed.
That was also a necessary device. It kind of went, okay, we've had some fun up until now, but. And that was the rug. That was the rug that kind of pulled it out and pulled it back from all the fun we've been having. It's like the analogy we made before on this show, where like you turn the disco lights on at the end of the night, and it's like, here's the cold hard truth of like what is happening here. But again, I feel like because they did have a lot of consultants on this who had actually been in the war. So
and the tunnel master, yeah.
And like just for the making of the film as well, like these guys, several of the cast had been in different war camps and stuff like that. So it was, I feel like they had everything they needed to make this what it was.
I think this came.
And that's why it came across as genuine.
I think one thing I was blown away. I couldn't stop watching. I think that, which I mean, it goes without saying, but it's a 3-hour movie that you're watching by yourself in your apartment. It's good to say like I was hooked. This came out in 1963. I don't know if we were really accepting the fact. I think the idea of the 50s and the Great Expanse and the suburbs and the American dream, we know now that it was sort of a lie, or at least it was sold to us like a bill of sale. I don't know if we were ready to really understand. Schindler's List couldn't have come out in 1963. There's no way it would have been considered torture, right? And Also, this is also a prequel to Shawshank Redemption. I had no idea.
The
that this is
MPAA,
the
yeah,
prequel
right.
to Shawshank Redemption.
The MPAA at that point in the 50s would have just banned Schindler's List outright.
Right. I mean, I even think like something like Doctor Strangelove, which came out after this. I probably maybe only a year after this, right? 64.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like satire enough that it was like at least like cheeky and it wasn't as popular as this. This is Steve McQueen, so this was probably the biggest or one of the biggest movies of the year. And people just wanted to see the motorcycle chase. They just wanted to see the action and such. I think this was.
They make you wait for it, but it's worth it.
You know when you know Robitussin's better for you, but you take Dimetap because it tastes like grape juice or whatever. I feel like this is the Dimetap to get into it, but at the same time, but it was on purpose.
Over the button right now.
It was. I should have thought through that, but it was. I thought this was done exactly right because, first of all, the actual escape plans were done very litigiously. I thought it was very diligent and it was very clear what was happening. The only thing that took me some time to grab my head around was that the British and the Americans were separated, and also the 250, the idea that they wanted to get 250 people out and how ridiculous that was, and the whole idea that they weren't going to all go the same route, that we were going to have to scatter and we were going to have to accept the fact that not everybody was going to make it. But our best chance was to scatter like ants, just fucking scatter when we get out of here. But we have bus tickets, we have train tickets, we have whatever we need. I don't know what the fuck we have, but we had train tickets for the most part. But you can't all get on the same train, otherwise it's 250 people show up at the train. Obviously, you're screwed. Yeah. But so I thought that was done really litigiously to the point where it's like, okay, we know we really want to get out, we know we really need to get out. But as far as the violence is concerned, I think if they told the story they wanted to tell but censored, it would have sucked. So by putting that lilt of style or genre on it, we can call it a satire, whatever we want to call it, that little lilt of style got over the censors. But I think if you really sit there for 2 hours and 52 minutes, especially by the end, you understood people weren't fucking around. Even though we can watch now and sit there and be like, this isn't Schindler's List.
Well, the funny thing is,
I don't want to sound like I was criticizing. I really like this movie, and that it needed to do that to get away with what the story was trying to tell. So I'm praising
one of those most famous moments of it, which is the Steve McQueen motorcycle jump, does not end the way everyone thinks.
I know that. Yeah.
That's what Jack Donaghy ends up talking about. If McQueen had only made the jump. It's literally. I mean, that's the turn of this movie, isn't it? I think the real genius of this movie is that it is an adventure movie. The tone, the music, the aesthetic, the sunshine, everything, it tells you that like they're going to get out of this, and they don't. And that's really what is so compelling is that, Dave, I can't imagine. I mean, you were a kid, but if you had been an adult and you had only watched the first, 2 hours-ish of this movie and not seen the fact that it doesn't work. That's what's so fucking amazing about this film. Well, I mean, they made us think that we were going to get out of this, and nobody got out of that.
The title is a total misdirect, but also it's like they do redeem it in the end. And like we haven't turned the spoiler alert on. I don't think we need to. This was made in the 60s. But like sit down and watch this film and then listen to this discussion. But basically it's like you get the escape and then you get everyone trying to get out of the country or get to where they're going. Literally, I think two of them make it, give or take.
Is it Bronson and the other guy? Do they make it?
I don't know. I can't
they get on the rowboat.
Yeah. The rowboat makes it.
The rowboaters. They both did. Yeah.
And they get on the ship, the cargo ship. I think they make it out.
But then they go back to the camp, and they get the word that 50 of them are shot. But then one of the main instigators turns up back at the camp, and he basically gets this parade through the thing, and he ends up back in the cell where he started. And you get that whole rinse and repeat thing. It's like, they're going to do this again.
I mean, they're going to think of a different way for sure.
He had already done it.
17 times.
Times,
like
right?
the movie, when it first starts, you get like the parade, all the passengers get off the trucks into the camp. The commandant, like cuts to the commandant talking about his wishes of he just wants to ride the war out running this camp and he doesn't want any trouble. And while that speech is happening, there's 4 fucking escape attempts happening.
I know.
It's hilarious.
I think one thing that's interesting too, there's so many things that are interesting about this, but it's interesting that they set it up that there's no way that this isn't going to work. I think that goes to the style too, with John, what you're saying, with back to what you're saying. And Dave, back to you not finishing it. I bet you Baby Dave was like, how are they not going to figure this out? They are bracing a tunnel.
Yeah.
Like, how are they not going to get this? How are they not going to get out of this? They found the lumber. They figured it out. I don't know how those people are sleeping at night. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, there's some liberties taken, but like,
well, no, they said they were
three different tunnels.
They were going to shift the bodies around the other. Like, they had the whole thing planned. Everything was covered. There were no plot holes in this.
The Great Escape.
Right. Well, so I think the one thing I know, and that's it, and that's the best part about this movie is, especially for 1963, I didn't think they did things like that where the title was to throw you off. I didn't think the title would throw you off. It kind of wasn't,
because they said that like the whole thing was time compressed. Those guys were out in the country fucking with the Germans for months. Like, they weren't there. It wasn't like 5 minutes. They were drawing resources away for like weeks and months.
This happened in 1944, by the way. So there was still at least a year before D-Day. So yeah, I mean, if they wanted to wait it out, they could have waited another year.
It would have been way less interesting if it was just called Escape.
Yes.
No, it wouldn't have.
Yes, it would have. If it was just called Escape, this movie would be full of shit. That's what I think.
All right, let's talk about
Why did I get
performances.
gushed? Jeff, you should not drunk drive the buttons.
You're right. I'll stay away from the wheel.
Let's talk about the performances. Attenborough is magnificent.
Yes.
They bring him in late. He's already kind of built up a little bit of mythology around him.
Late for a normal movie, but they probably brought him in like 40 minutes into this. But yeah,
early for Rocky.
Sure. And he just delivers. You know, he's the brains. It's just so grounded. And honestly, I just don't think I've seen enough of his work from that period before he started directing and doing some other things. And I don't know. This is just
well, you know what?
The casting is such
we had this whole new segment called "What Else Have They Done?" that we could maybe watch some. I
didn't know we could do that for actors. I thought it was just going to be for directors.
No, we could do that for actors.
Well, what's
freedom, baby, yeah.
But what's great about Attenborough too, and again, this is I really think this is ahead of its. I think this is ahead of its time for 1963. Is you have somebody who only does what we as the audience would consider to be good and right. He leads this thing. He has somehow convinced, mostly off screen, everybody on the camp to unify on things so mundane as, I want you to be as interested as possible about ornithology, right? Bird watching, so that we can get the Germans so bored about our love for ornithology that they'll leave us alone, and then we'll flip it and talk about this. So we have to believe that Richard Attenborough was in charge of this. Like, he actually convinced everybody, because this was his 17th attempt and the Gestapo was looking for him, that he understood this about him. And at the same time, he was the one who told... don't tell me, stop. Blythe. No, that's not what they called him. Donald Blythe, the blind guy. They told him he was the one that said, "You're blind, you can't come." And that was, I wouldn't call that a flaw, but that's definitely not something that we're rooting against Richard Attenborough in that scene. And yes. I just don't remember seeing those kinds of things in the early 60s where somebody that you're rooting for wholeheartedly, you put him in a situation where the audience is now rooting against him, and yet we're still rooting for him, just not in this one particular thing. That's real nuance that I don't remember seeing from movies.
Very complex, yeah.
Would you agree with that?
And his death. I mean, no spoilers here.
Oh yeah, no spoilers.
Just the fact that
let's talk about his death 5 minutes before the end of the film. Yeah.
Sure. Well, fuck the spoilers. The fact that it's a character that seems to be, it's almost like the shallow water of defining his character would be hopeful and optimistic, because he's not. He's a pragmatist, and he's meticulous, and his duty is to get them out of there.
And that's why we're rooting for him, because we think he's the best chance of them getting out.
Right. So in that scene with the blind man, Blythe, isn't that Blythe?
It is Blythe. I thought he had a different. No, Ives is the Scotsman who's losing it.
So I think that scene is such a good setup, because for me it's like he's teeing it up for a big drive. We're in the golf course analogy here, folks. Go with me. You're in that scene and you think like something is about to happen. Like, I don't know how I feel about him now. And it ends up ending with him being like, okay, he's your responsibility, James Garner. Take him and good luck to you. But, it's on you because we're scattering. The next time you really hear him talk outside of like the tension of the escape is when they're about to get executed. He doesn't even know it. And he kind of does, it's his final real statement. And he kind of does for a moment sound like the essential pragmatist. He's literally kind of like, I'm really proud of us. I think we did a good job. To come to think of it, because of the work we've done, I've never been happier than I am right now. Bang.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's such a lovely just symmetry to the way he comes in as somebody who you think like, no way this guy is going to be everything they say he is. Yep. From the moment he hits the ground, we're having a meeting tonight. We're going to start these plans. And he's that same person all the way up to the end, which in some ways, just as an actor, when you're reading that on the page, you might think, where's this guy's arc? Like, what is his character like going through? What are his obstacles? And honestly, that's kind of the brilliance of this film for me, is that a lot of these characters don't have an enormous arc. McQueen, I think, probably has the strongest one. Bronson has his, they throw it in there at the very end.
Yeah.
Oh, you're scared of tunnels. Nobody thought you were scared of tunnels until you told us you were scared of tunnels.
Yeah, that was a little Hollywoody, but sure.
Yeah, you kind of just got there. But there's something about Attenborough's performance that makes that work. And without that, I don't know. I don't even know if it read that well. That's what I always think about when I'm trying to imagine like reading the script of this movie. I don't know. I can't help but think about the way these things are written. I don't know if that character popped the way that it did without his performance. There's something really charming that he brought to it, and he brought some kind of desperation towards the very end when he was actually concerned that they had gone 20 feet short. And that they were still like, there's almost a lunacy to him when they're 20 feet short and he says, we got to go for it. We just have to try it anyway.
Yeah.
The pragmatist is like kind of somewhere in the past
course,
now.
If you want to sit there and be like, how are they 20 feet short? It's like they were measuring with twine and they couldn't leave the site. It was all, they were guessing. And it makes sense in hindsight, even though when that happens in the movie, you have to be bummed and be like, how'd they fuck it up? So I think Richard Attenborough was John and my favorite character. Dave, who is your favorite character in this film?
I think. Although I think my favorite line happens earlier on when the German guards bust in. They're like, "What are you doing? This isn't your cabin." He's like, "I'm taking a shower," and he turns to
Charles
the guy
Bronson.
next to him. Yeah, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm watching him. I'm a lifeguard."
Oh, that was funny. Yeah,
that I guffawed out loud. Even though I on some level I knew it was coming, but I fucking guffawed out loud on my couch.
Was that Coburn? Who Garner? No, it wasn't Garner. Who said that I'm the lifeguard?
I thought it was Garner.
It was Garner.
Garner had a lot of.
They just gave him that line because that's not like his character. But
there was.
Well,
I
same
feel
thing.
like I said that term in the previous episode, but there was when he was seducing. That's the word.
But he did it. But that was really clever, and I love that the German guard did a really good job of like looking out the window to be like, "You're right. It would look peculiar if we were like scrounging around the room together." Yeah, you're right.
It's also fun, like kind of the oceans movies kind of thing, like just seeing them step by step plan it out. Execute it.
Yeah, Soderbergh, man, really came through.
It is believable. Like it really, it doesn't seem far fetched. Like, and it helps, of course, to say that I'm sure that people recounted and consulted and said, yes, we did this kind of thing. It really happened. But it is kind of there's an interpretive, like, kind of remarkable aspect as an audience member when you're watching this. That holy fucking shit, they did that.
Yeah, right.
That's the 17th time he did that.
How many times?
Crazy,
guys. You are very well aware that Richard Attenborough and David Attenborough were siblings, right? Like they sound so much alike. When he's literally sitting there and he's explaining like their route, I literally hear the Planet Earth guy be like, "Here comes the lanternfly coming to eat all of your trees in New York City. Please
do
kill
his
them."
voice though. Wait, do your impression. Do your impression. Come on, give me your.
I lost it. I already did it.
Every time I watch a World War II movie. Every time I watch one, I always just think to myself, our grandfathers must think we are pussies, dude. Like, the things that we complain about. Honestly, I
don't know. I readjusted my fucking tooth this week, so,
That is true.
I can't buzz you because it's good. That's good shit that you did. There's so much good shit there. So this is 3 hours. So I love that the 4th of July scene. So this is where, so for me, when they were like, we want to get 250 people out, I was like, oh, here it comes, Hollywood. I saw like 30 extras so far. Yeah. How amazing was that 4th of July scene where you just see hundreds of people like show up and they're all like drinking the fucking moonshine? Yeah. Dave, what was the best moonshine you've ever drunk in your life? When they had that moonshine, did you think they're either going to get syphilis, they're going to go impotent, or they're going to die? Tell me you didn't think that for a second.
Oh, I'd stay away from the moonshine, man. Who knows what the fuck's in that?
Exactly. But they, at the time, were like, well, we might die anyway.
Well, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. You're in a camp. You make do with what you got.
Dave, what's your favorite?
I thought maybe that was why Blythe went blind.
I once had ice cream and rum for breakfast because that was what we had. So.
Guys, you know what my favorite line in this movie was? As I'm sure you'll all remember, this is the voice of the Nelly's Warbler. This guy does a bird call forever, and then he goes, as you guys know, this is the voice of the Nelly's Warbler. Yeah. And all of these people just like jot down, like, what are they possibly taking notes on this guy that's like talking about bird calls? Literally the Nazi just goes, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And those German accents were terrible across the board, by the way. There was like one or two that were definitely German, and then there were a couple that were, I mean, I don't think in 1963 you were really getting a lot of Germans to be like, I could be a Nazi. Like, I think there were definitely a lot of Americans that were
it wasn't until
away at that German
until the
accent.
early 2000s people started going, yeah, I could be a Nazi.
But there were two. There was at least maybe like the big guy that confronts Richard Attenborough later when he catches him, where you're like, oh, that's a real one. That one's good.
That guy was fucking huge.
Yeah. He just had to say his lines in that proper accent and be bigger than Richard Attenborough. I'm pretty sure
someone coached him on how to say that.
No acting required. That had a very
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I haven't learned English feel yet.
This is a great coach. The coach's job says, stop acting. What? Just say the lines. Imagine we're playing baseball and just say the lines. Done. You did it. We're terrified of you for the rest of time now. Like, please don't act. Because then,
he was opposite the Scottish guy at first. That guy was like fucking. What do you say? He was a jockey. He was like 5'3", 5'4".
Which is how it should be. Yeah, and that's why Steve McQueen was like
unreal, dude.
But there were a couple like in The Office where I was like, I don't know if they're. Which actually this plays into the movie. I don't know if you're faking the German accent or if you're a German officer. Because, they're like kind of I love those scenes where they're like testing each other. And as the audience, it's very Tom Stoppard. It's like, I didn't know who was, and it seems so obvious now. People who've seen this movie a million times obviously know this, but I didn't know. It was almost like a show within a show. I was like, are they in it or not? They're not spoon feeding this to me. So I don't know if they're really going through it or if they're pretending to go through it. But there were a couple of the German officers where I was like, are they passing the test? Oh no, they're really Nazis. Like, there are a couple of those early on. But that plays with it. But again, this plays with the tone. The tone covered all of that, so it was all good.
So I think the general gist is you should give this a look. It's on HBO Max.
I think
it is on HBO Max. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those where like I think we stumble upon this quite a bit whenever we're talking about movies. If it's not whenever there are tones of adventure and it's not super dramatic and they're deconstructing these major themes like we talked about on our previous episode, it's kind of, I feel like it's easier to say like, I like it or I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's a simplicity to the way it's presented. And this is why it's so palatable. I think this is a very difficult movie to not enjoy watching. If you can handle 3 hours of movie, it's very entertaining. It's easy to watch. So I feel like if you haven't taken a chance on a movie from the 60s, just press play. I think you're probably going to be
there's a reason this is a classic
immediately. Yeah. It's very charming. It's a charming film.
Also, it's such a bummer that Steve McQueen tried the motorcycle jump and then he crashed. And so they had his friend do it, who ended up becoming his double in Dave, did you look this up?
No.
His motorcycle double in Bullet is also the same guy that did this stunt. Bullet was 5 years later in 1968. We talked about that on the Love of Cinema podcast. I love the first time that the workers that go to work and they go like and they're whistling. I was like, this is definitely hi ho, hi ho. They're off to work. Jeff
just pitched our podcast in the third person.
That's right. I love the guy who says, can you please ask for milk? A tea without milk is uncivilized. They're in a prisoner of war camp. They should be happy they're not shitting in a ditch. And here they are. They're like, we need chicken and tea. It's so British. It's obviously an American writing for British people. And wait, this is gonna be a gripe of mine. This, like, if I run out of ideas, I'm gonna do this gripe. But in this movie, they do it correctly, which is Richard Attenborough. They say, "You've been a prisoner of war for almost 4 years," and he goes, 3 years, 7 months, and I don't know, approximately 2 weeks or so. I hate in movies where people give like down to the second, and I'm like, nobody's staring at a clock. All right, they're all guessing a little bit. I hate when they're like 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Shut the fuck up. Like, come on. It's like 4 months and a couple of days. I love that Richard Attenborough gets that, and I love it because it predates the American involvement in the war. So he's literally been a prisoner of war since before the Americans even showed up. I'm gushing, people. Bring it on. Go see Richard Attenborough, brother of the planet Earth guy, in The Great Escape.
Brother of the planet.
Jesus. All right, I think we should wrap this up at this point. It's gone on long enough.
Me.
All right, that was great. Let's make our great escape into what you've been watching. David.
We always start with you, Dave.
Well, actually, at this point, it's not what I've been watching. It's what me and my wife have been watching. Because this week, I showed my wife everything.
Are you blaming her for what you watched? Or
no,
what?
I showed her movies we've covered on the podcast. So we finally watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And
she fucking loved it. And I loved it again, all over again. And I've watched it twice now. And I own it now because I bought it. And there is still nothing I can find wrong with that film.
A little bit of a humble brag there, a little flex. Yeah, go ahead and support your filmmakers, the Daniels.
Yeah.
Is that your cock or your arm?
Then I'll leave you to judge.
We said cock 2 episodes in a row now. So.
God, that Korean film fucked with us. Anyway, and then I also showed her, it was Morbin time at our house. I showed her Morbius on Netflix. It's now dropped on Netflix, people.
Oh, you watched it again? You watched the whole thing again?
I did. And my wife watched it.
And then she divorced you.
And,
yeah, what is she?
Well, I mean, the lawyers are still talking, but it was touch and go there for a while. She was fucking furious by the end of that movie.
Of course. She was like, why did you do that to me? Did you think that was going to be funny? Why did you show that to me?
And then, I explained the after credit scene because I had to, because it was such a fucking shit. And, she was even more angry. And it was, it does. Morbius does not get better on the rewatch.
I'm shocked.
Shocking. Yeah.
Jinx. All right, John, go ahead.
All right. I watched, I have been meaning to watch this movie for so long. What came out in 1969, it won the 1970. It won Best Foreign Film and Best Editing. It's called Z, just the letter Z. Directed by Vasilis Vasilikos. Crazy, accurate story told from. I think it's produced. They're all speaking French, so I would imagine that it was a French production.
I hope so.
But it's about the story of Greece in the attempted overthrow of their government by a peaceful movement, which spawned an assassination, which is in the given circumstances. So it's all about this character who was leading a democratic, some thought it was a communist movement. He was trying to just turn the militaristic government away from it. It's about his killing and the aftermath after the assassination. It was really, really, really good. I can't recommend it enough.
I hope the overthrow of Greece in French language was a French film. I really hope like the Saudis didn't sit there and be like, let's make a French film about the overthrow of Greece.
Well, honestly, it was kind of refreshing because I was like, I guess this is what the rest of the world feels like when they watch anything in the English language that's set somewhere else. Because we do that all the time.
Yeah. How accurate are we?
That's
the
fair.
fucking British will tell a story in any other country and just do a British accent with English. And they'll be like, oh, that's what colonial France sounded like. They had fucking British accent. So honestly, it was kind of refreshing. It didn't bother me at all.
In that vein, I popped my American culture cherry, and me and my wife went to Medieval Times this weekend for a birthday celebration.
Medieval Times,
right? And the
I
Queen.
Actually love Medieval Times. I went there when I was in third grade.
It's all set in Spanish Europe.
Yeah,
but everyone has a British accent.
Everyone, yeah, dude. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So, look, maybe I missed something, but I'm pretty sure I didn't hear any fucking Greek. They do it on purpose. The opening of this movie basically says, if you think that these are coincidental circumstances, they are not. They are intended to be exactly what happened. So it just punches you in the face from the get-go. This fucking happened. Can't recommend it enough. It's on the Criterion right now, and I think it's on HBO. Give it a watch, folks. Give it a watch.
I should say really quick, it's funny in our Great Escape episode, we didn't really talk about Steve McQueen a lot, and he's definitely like the star of this movie who got it made, and he was the coolest person on the fucking planet. And we sat here and we were like, it was cool, but like, there were people that saw this.
Fucking Attenborough.
I'm pretty sure they put him on a motorcycle like he was in fucking Shane or something. I think they put him on a motorcycle and they were like, you know what? Like, we just want to sell this movie.
Jeff, what'd you fucking watch?
Well, I talked about my TV shows on last week. So I started Predator 2, but I haven't finished it. And it's not my fault. I've seen a lot of shit.
I watched Predator 2. I forgot to mention that. Dave, I watched it.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
You mentioned
Is that what you're talking about?
It's really funny. I can't wait.
All right, who's next?
Okay. All right, who's next?
I don't know if I've done that yet.
Best end of fight quip ever in the history of film.
I rewatched Gladiator and I saw World War Z for the first time. I had COVID, so I was like, I need to catch up on some movies.
Uncut edition or the censored one?
There's an uncut?
Yeah.
I only saw the theatrical.
I just pushed play. I didn't know if it was circumcised or not. So like, I don't know.
What'd you think, dude?
Which one?
Well,
Gladiator was great.
What'd you think? Did you like it?
I'm with Mark in that Gladiator probably didn't age as well as I thought it would, but it's the action scenes are great. There's just three of them. So the other scenes are good, but like Commodus and his sister, after a while, was like, give me some more characters. I could use some more.
So when he asked, are you not entertained?
That was great. It was great. No, that was great. But I mean, there's other stuff where it's like a series would have given me more. But it's good.
I still don't know if I could describe to you like the end of the second act of Gladiator, like into the breakout scene. I still don't know if I can tell you what happens between "Are you not entertained?" Every time I try to recall,
well, then there's some plot where he tries to plot,
remember.
and then it gets discovered, but then it sort of does him, and then he still lives, and that is anyway. It gets a little confusing there. And then World War Z, I really liked. I was surprised. It was.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
It's obviously allegory, but it's done very realistically, and it's cool that Brad Pitt did that movie. It's, you know what I mean? Like,
it was one of Plan B's first major productions.
He's having some
this
fun.
one he produced.
He was having fun, but it wasn't like it wasn't like ha 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 fun. Like,
no, it was a little bit of work, but
so yeah, I was totally into it for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
All right, thank you everybody for listening to our episode on The Great Escape. Anything else you want to say before we send our fans on their way?
Nope.
I gotta pee.
See you, film fans. See you next time.